Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 180 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Hey, Dave. I'm happy to be back on our weekly podcast that goes up once a month.
We'll be weekly again.
We don't have to.
I want to.
I don't even like Doctor Who anymore.
That's not true. You still love Doctor Who.
I don't
You
know.
can't. You love it too much to ever let that love die. It would have to become, and even if it became actively bad, there's still enough of it that you love that it'll never go away.
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of Twilight Zone though, and Rod Serling makes a compelling argument for not watching anything else ever again. What is this weird light on my keyboard?
So, do you want to talk about the late '90s, early 2000s Twilight Zone?
Well, the early 2000s Twilight Zone with Forrest Whitaker is all right.
Yeah,
but it has a lot going against it. Oh, that's scroll lock. Why do I have scroll lock on? Anyway, sorry.
So Doctor
Whitaker, Twilight Zone, I'll tell you. And a lot going against it, which is number one, the theme song is done by Korn, which is like strike one. Strike two is it's on UPN. And then strike three, the DVD set is out of print for like many, many years. So it's like $200 if you want a copy.
And
So-
why would you?
Because it's an all-right show. If you like the Twilight Zone, there's decent episodes in there. But the '80s one is easier to get, and the '50s early '60s original, of course, is
You
the
can
best.
buy Cracker Barrel.
And you can buy the Blu-ray set of all the episodes for a very reasonable price. And ooh la la, did they do a nice restoration job on those episodes?
Speaking of Twilight Zone, that is an amazing pinball table. The Doctor Who machine is good too.
Isn't there like a Kiss machine or something?
There's lots of band machines. There's a Guns N' Roses machine. There's a Aerosmith machine. We don't need to talk about pinball as much as I want to.
I think the only pinball machine I ever played in my life was at our local, well, I say local, but really it's the next town over because I lived in a podunk town, the bowling alley. And I think it was it might have been like an Aerosmith or a Kiss machine, some band that I don't like. Some old band that I don't like, whatever.
There's a Tommy pinball machine.
Tommy?
Like the
pinball
wizard.
Okay, all right.
Based on the movie.
All right.
So, Doctor Who. Do we have any Doctor Who news, Kate?
I'm just looking that up because kind of not really. I mean, I think they wrapped filming on the Jodie Whittaker season, apparently.
I saw the trailer for it.
I did not.
It did not make me enthusiastic.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know. Hopefully it's good. I like Jodie Whittaker. I don't know the other people.
Well, I don't know her at all. And I mean, even though I'm disinterested in any sort of female doctor at all, me not watching the trailers got nothing to do with that. It's just the fact is I just don't watch trailers. Let's see. So what's Big Finish got going on? Let's see. Class is coming out this month, I guess.
Boo.
I don't know. It's an alright show.
I'll finish it eventually.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Seventh Doctor is kind of like hogging the monthly series. So starting this month and running through pretty much the end of the year, we're having 5 Seventh Doctor audios in a row, which is unprecedented because, since they started the trilogy format all the way back in 2009, we've been rotating trilogies where 5, 6, and 7 get one trilogy each. Then there's usually like a multi-trilogy and then like a random anthology for the 13th of the year.
Are these stories at least connected?
I don't think so.
That's super weird then.
I mean, let's see. So yeah, there's a trio of adventures, but then there's also a next one that it ties into something else earlier in the year, and now there's some other thing. I don't know. I don't keep up with the monthlies because we just haven't got there for the show yet. But I just thought it was strange because I can't think of another time we've had like 5 audios in a row for the same doctor, like since they did Paul McGann seasons as part of the monthlies, which was like way back when.
I'm so excited to get there eventually.
Oh hell yeah! And then I guess the only other really notable anything is Big Finish's announcing a second War Master set, which is kind of cool. So, but again, we haven't got there yet either. So we'll see what happens with that. But Derek Jacobi is pretty cool, so I'm glad they got him to be the master for more than 3 seconds before he turned into a fucking clown.
So, I don't think we have had any Doctor Who to watch since the last time we talked either.
No. I'm all caught up. There's been nothing new on TV. I'm actually going to be starting the classic series from the beginning again soon because, like I said, I'm watching Twilight Zone with the hubby, and we kind of have a hankering for more black and white sci-fi. So I'll definitely be going back to some of the Hartnell and Troughton episodes, and maybe we'll carry all the way through. And fuck me, maybe we'll probably overtake the podcast at some point. But kind of looking forward to that because I mean we started Lonely Gods in 2012, if you can fucking believe that.
Oh my god, don't say that.
So yeah, I haven't seen any Hartnells unless they were like new animations. I haven't seen Hartnells in a while, so that's exciting.
So, you ready to talk about our stories, Kate?
Yeah, it's probably enough of a preamble.
Yes, so let's get into our first one, which is the first of the new Fourth Doctor Adventures box set.
Well, you say new, but it's now 2 months old, Dave.
It's still has there been another box set?
No.
Then
it's the latest, but it's not new.
It's the newest.
Whatever. It's the first episode of the second half of the 7th season of the Fourth Doctor Adventures.
This is getting too complicated.
I fucking hate Big Finish. I really don't mean that. But fuck Big Finish every which way.
So yes, we just did the first story of this, and we will do the next 3 over the next 3 weeks. Hopefully.
Brilliant insight. Thank you.
Hopefully. And the first story is an hour-long story called The Shadow of London, where the Doctor and Leela land in what appears to be London. And I say what appears to be because, of course, it turns out that it is not.
Well, of course it's not. But I mean, they do notice that like it's kind of a very small slice of London, basically, with very few people in it who all act very oddly. And the town kind of just, stops. Not like it's like the edge of the earth into a void, but like, there's only like
a little piece,
a few streets
because
that have been replicated.
But and there's also a monster running around.
Yeah, well, of course there is.
So we quickly find out that yes, this is not actually the real London. It turns out it is actually
the Shadow of London,
a recreation of a section of London in Nazi-controlled Germany in the middle of World War II to train espionage agents.
Espionazis.
Espionazis.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
That was super cool.
To be honest with you, that was not the explanation I expected. This being the Fourth Doctor Adventures, even though the first box set was a really solid run of stories, I still have my cynicism, and I was thinking, it's going to be aliens making robots again or something,
or some like weird other side pocket dimension.
Yeah. And then when it wasn't aliens, I thought, okay, maybe I was thinking like Cold War Russia, like those little nuclear bomb towns or something. But no, it turned out to be Nazis. So
I like that turned out to be Nazis.
No, I liked it too. Like I said, it was unexpected, and that's always welcome.
It turns out the monster was an example of experiments gone wrong, basically.
Yeah, that's the element of this that I didn't really care for. I really don't think the creature was very interesting, and nor was it necessary to the plot. A pure historical with a more of an espionage thriller kind of bent to it would have been more interesting to me. And yeah, so I mean, I kind of came away from this feeling that despite surprising me with an explanation other than aliens, this is probably the weakest of the season so far for me. It's all right, but it's
I enjoyed this one more than you did. I agree with you that the monster is the weakest part of the story and it's not that great, but I thought in the context of the episode it was fine.
I'll defer to you on some of the finer points of this episode, just because, just to throw this out there, we've had a month break, and before I knew that we were having a month break, I listened to both this one and Rulebook, our next audio, right away. So they're a little bit fuzzier, whereas Red Dawn and Eye of the Scorpion I did quite recently. So those ones I have details in my mind. This one I kind of just have whatever's in my notes plus my general impressions.
But I did like this story. I do agree with you. It is the weakest out of this whole season of Fourth Doctor Adventures. I mean, but that's because
so far. They could
so far
they got three more chances to fuck it up even worse.
I mean, to be fair, this season's been unusually strong.
Yeah.
So even being the weakest of these, I still think this one's pretty good, and especially I found it a pretty enjoyable Fourth Doctor adventure, which we don't say enough, I think, because
but to be fair, like, for God help us if there's anyone new listening to this for some goddamn reason, we don't think the Fourth Doctor adventure is bad. Usually, we just think that it kind of plods along, taking the safe way and being kind of bland.
Yeah, the monster part is kind of bland.
Yeah, that's the element of what this series usually does, creeping in, and I'm like, no, don't do that.
I think this story would have been a lot better if it was 4 parts instead of 2. Or sorry, not necessarily a lot better. There would have been a lot more room to make a more, especially if you wanted to cut the monster out and do a pure spy thing. You need more room to breathe for that kind of story.
Maybe. I'm not sold on that. I mean, I don't think they should have done 4 parts with the plot as it is, because I don't think more of a run around with the monster was going to help it any. I think that would just kind of lead to padding and being chased up and down corridors over and over again.
Oh, I just said especially if you're going to pull the monster out, it should be a longer story.
But I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying, if you would do 4 parts, you would have to get rid of the monster or do something completely different. But I don't know. I mean, I think you could tell a spy story in an hour.
Maybe.
I think you could anyway, but whatever.
But I like this.
It's all right.
So moving on to Rulebook, which is our and so now we get back into Peri.
Yes, the 5th Doctor.
Yes, we're getting into the 5th Doctor, and yes, our new companion, Peri Brown.
Yes, who we just met in Planet of Fire, and now we're off on a whirlwind adventure of audios with her, because it's a good gap, I guess, right after somebody comes aboard, because you haven't actually gotten into anything yet that you have to work around. So,
Kate.
Yeah.
Kate.
Yeah.
I know it was the 80s.
Yeah.
But and so far I like Peri, but man, that accent.
She's an American, like you.
Like me, yes.
Like you, I'm American.
And I get it. I get it. It's not like American movies from the 80s are fucking great about accents either, or TV or whatever. Like, it's of that era. It's just...
Well, I mean... Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Nicola Bryant is, of course, British, faking, American,
yes.
American accent. I don't like her on TV accent-wise, but I think on audio she has improved over the years.
It is better,
probably just from experience. I actually think
I could definitely tell she was doing a much better job on the audios than on the TV show.
On the audios in general.
Tell at a certain point is they established what she sounds like on the TV show, so she still has to do that voice. Like that's the feeling I got.
True.
Like she could totally do a great American accent now, but she has to be Peri, which is forever cemented in that accent.
Mm, yeah, you might be right. I like again, I do think it's improved. Although I will say, I think Rulebook is one of her weaker audio performances as far as accent goes. I think maybe it's because she has to switch from narration to
I
dialogue so much. But
I mean, I found Rulebook was, I think, the weakest of the this week's stories, mostly because it's a short trip. I mean, it's not bad, but it's a short. It's a short trip.
yeah, it's a short trip, all right.
It's the Doctor and Peri lands. Well, no, because we pick up midway through, where basically some time stuff happened, and the Doctor and Peri saved this world, but then disappeared and were declared legally dead, so they can't get the TARDIS back.
Well, they're declared legally dead because they went through a transporter, and
Yes.
the people on this world who are sort of like foxy Vulpine people who are pretty obsessive about rules and regulations. They view the use of a transporter as an original person being broken down and destroyed, and then a copy reconstructed somewhere
right.
else.
Yes,
So for their
okay.
legal code,
This one's
a
fuzzy
person
in my
who comes
memory,
back
too.
through the transporter or out the other end is not the original person, and therefore the original person is legally dead, and therefore you're not entitled to that property, and therefore they've buggered off with the TARDIS. As so often happens.
And that's the whole story.
And that's the whole story, and they argue with a civil servant until she agrees with them.
for half an hour.
Yes, and then the army shows up for a little bit for some reason. I forget why.
I don't remember either.
They
It was
Scooby-Doo them
fine.
and get away. It's also okay, but it's thoroughly average, and I've got really nothing to say about it except that I agree with the aliens that a transporter, as we understand how it would work, would indeed kill a person and then make a copy, and that is a horrifying thought. But
You say as one of the biggest fans of Star Trek I know.
I am a biggest fan of Star Trek, but the difference with Star Trek is that it actually like transfers the matter from one place to the other, whereas as far as we know in real life, it would basically be matter at the other end copying a pattern instead of like literally the same molecules. But that's a whole nother kettle of fish that I don't even really want to get into.
Kate Tron's
Yes.
about this too.
I don't give a fuck.
That's how Jeff Bridges gets into the computer through a laser.
That's how his copy is spawned and he is killed. But there's a difference between real life and Star Trek. I've been finding this out lately.
I would say this is on the same level of quality as like the Rhubarb story, except
the Rhubarb one was weird though.
Except it lacks the weirdness of the Rhubarb story.
Yeah, like that at least had the uniqueness.
Great, it's just fucking weird. But that's the level of quality of this, just without those weird hooks.
Yes, this one is very kind of all right. I mean,
yeah,
it's the same as Shadow of London, really, where. But Shadow of London had going for it something I didn't actually expect for once. But I don't know. This is just kind of
Yes,
it happened. It is a thing that happened for 30 minutes and $3. And Nicola Bryant read me a story about nothing happening. So
yes. about some red tape.
Yeah, about legal red tape, which is just always thrilling drama.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you could do some like. If you wanted to do the whole like transporter copy thing, like you could do some kind of like existential horror with that if you really wanted to, but turning it into dry discussions about how sometimes following the rules isn't always the right thing to do, like okay, I guess.
Yes. So next up, we get back into our Fifth Doctor monthly range stories.
Yeah, some super early ones.
Yeah, I could tell. I meant to ask you about that.
Well, I mean, the first clue is that they're using the Tom Baker theme song instead of the Peter Davison theme song.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I think we mention this almost every time we go back and do an early monthly audio. But I think it's up until like 39 or 40. They didn't like, other than Paul McGann, the other doctors all just shared the Tom Baker theme because they were too cheap to license different, versions of it.
I don't know. I could tell I don't know. I could tell the difference, but I don't know. I could pinpoint theme songs to Doctors.
I can. I mean, I'm a disgusting person, but I mean, generally, like the Fifth Doctor one is distinctive because it's a pretty heavy remix, whereas from the third and fourth Doctor basically use the same one with different visuals.
I tend to skip the Fifth Doctor theme, like the when we watch the episodes, the theme songs.
I never do. To me, it's just like I don't know. It's part of the experience of sitting down and watching the stupid theme song. I'm not a Netflix title sequence skipper, unfortunately.
It depends on the show.
Yeah, I had to bully John when he first started watching TV with me, as I had to bully him into like, first of all, you're gonna put your phone down, and secondly, we're not skipping the theme song. It's like, you're gonna sit here with me and you're gonna suffer through the Shield's glorious theme music.
But it's so short. But then it's like
so stupid. Oh, by the way, the Shield is coming to Blu-ray.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that
in November. I'm so excited.
Yeah, but then when you get into the second season of the Netflix Marvel shows, you can skip those theme songs. You already heard them all a lot, and they didn't change.
Well, I mean, watching Netflix Marvel shows there's your problem.
Yeah.
They did one good thing, and then
they did one more good thing. Punisher was good.
I haven't seen. I stopped after. I think Iron Fist was the last one I watched.
That one episode of Luke Cage season 2 where they do Heroes for Hire is fucking amazing, and then that you have to finish watching that season, and you're like, God damn it, Netflix.
I don't know. I just got tired of Marvel in general, but again, that's another.
No, I totally get that too.
It's just too much of a muchness. There's too much to.
So
whatever. Okay, so Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Not to do with the Russians. Not to do with the Wolverines.
The Doctor lands, I believe, in the TARDIS lands in a spaceship.
Well, it's an Ice Warrior like burial chamber on Mars.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So
They're in the chamber. They're in the chamber. Yes.
Earth has sent this probe called Ares 1 to Mars to be the first manned landing on Mars. I like that they mentioned Mars Probe 7 from Ambassadors of Death as being a try that was an utter failure from years ago, which was a nice touch. Because it keeps it from getting into a situation where it's like, there's seven different stories about what happened to Atlantis. In Doctor Who. So anyway, there's people on there and they're to investigate this burial mound or whatever, and then
did you foreshadow Atlantis on purpose?
No, I didn't, but that part was a lie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I know. But
yeah, so whatever. Anyway, there's the fucking, guess what? The Ice Warriors wake up and they're crouchy. And yeah.
So you know why I could tell, besides since I couldn't tell from the theme song, why I knew this was an early Doctor Who story?
Why is that?
Because the villain sucks.
Oh, come on.
The villain is so bad.
That's not nice.
A one-dimensional stock.
Okay, so are we talking about the Ice Lord, or are we talking about
the arms dealer guy?
Ah, yes. Okay,
he
so basically,
sucks so bad.
Basically, one of the things. Okay, so this mission is technically a NASA mission, but it was co-funded by this industrialist who has sent his son and his niece along on the mission.
Also, this is 100% a late 90s, early 2000s plot where it's a NASA mission, but oh no, there's a greedy corporation behind it.
Yeah, they're
actually pulling the strings.
I don't it's actually pulling the strings. Anyway, so way back when, I guess this corporation found some Ice Warrior wreckage and reverse engineered some of it. So they have an interest in this mission to Mars. Which is an awful film, by the way. They have an interest in this mission to Mars to get more Ice Warrior tech and then sell it, basically. And it's very boring. Also, the chick apparently was
Also,
they found like a piece of like Ice Warrior shell, and then they like Jurassic Parked it so that the girl is like part Ice Warrior, and for some reason that grants her magic.
it's not magic.
It's fucking insight that she shouldn't have because DNA doesn't work that way.
It's the plot of Assassin's Creed, Kate.
Yeah, I know. And then the plot of Assassin's Creed is fucking stupid.
The plot of Assassin's Creed was stolen from a British audio drama based on a sci-fi franchise from the 60s.
Shut up. I hate this show. So it was
this story was thoroughly entertaining. It's not great, but like it's the pace is good. I like the Ice Warriors. They're used decently here. There are aspects of the plot that aren't great, but this feels like a dry run for the Peladon stories.
I don't know how that works since the Peladon stories predate this by a good 20 years.
Really? No, I mean the audios.
There's only been one Peladon audio that we've listened to.
Okay, well then the one.
What are you talking about? I mean, maybe like in this story, the Ice Warriors are kind of like halfway between villain mode and halfway between like warrior race honor mode.
Yeah, and that's why.
So they're grouchy and they're easily pissed off and they might kill you. But at the same time, you know, they'll be willing to make a sacrifice like the Ice Lord does near the end and talk about their people's history.
Yeah.
But I mean,
there's an attempt to explore the Ice Warriors that I appreciate because I do like them as characters.
It kind of it reminded me of that episode where in the Capaldi episode where the Redcoats are on Mars and they make the Ice Warriors mad. Because it's kind of the same plot-ish. And in both of those cases, I kind of felt like it was kind of like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, where it's like, well, we want the Ice Warriors to be a threat, but we also don't want to make them just monsters. And I don't think they really kind of did it well.
This episode couldn't tell if it wanted to be a monster story or a thoughtful, if it wanted to be a sci-fi adventure or a thoughtful piece of science fiction.
Yeah, pretty much. And so what it devolved into was a lot of yelling and threatening each other over the radio.
Yeah.
And
I really enjoyed listening to this, even though I knew it wasn't great. but yeah, the villain really. So I think the villain ruined everything.
This is bland.
Yeah.
Bland.
Because it was just such a one-dimensional character. Also,
yeah, well, I mean, you've seen one of these in Doctor Who. You've seen them all, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about another bad accent? Oh my God, the NASA pilot. What was he doing? What was that supposed to be?
I don't remember the NASA pilot.
I couldn't tell what.
I listened to this literally yesterday, and I don't know who you're talking about.
The dude, like one of the only other survivors, the guy who goes back because the chick who's half Ice Warrior decides to stay on Mars.
So not the industrialist guy.
No, because he dies.
Because him and the chick are both pretty clearly British, right?
Yes, no, the industrialist guy dies.
Well, of course he does. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, but no, then there's the guy whose NASA mission that they're supposed to be on.
I only dimly recall. I don't really remember him actually doing anything.
He didn't really do anything.
Oh, well, good for him, I guess. He still lived through the story.
He helped explain over the radio to Peri how to land, so they could, and the girl how they could land the pod when it was like crashing.
I barely remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he had a bad accent, did he?
Yes. It was just weird. I couldn't tell what it was. Like,
I don't know. I mean, if he's NASA, it's probably supposed to be American of some kind.
Yeah, but it was like...
I think the big problem to me with the believability for the accents, it's not just the way it sounds, it's the vocabulary they use, because they still, like, they write American characters using British English, and it doesn't sound right at all.
Yeah.
And that's what annoys me more than anything else when it comes to the accents, because, you know, accents is one thing. You can only do so much with your voice, but a writer can you know, do the research and make sure the vernacular is correct. And Big Finish just never bothers with it. And even like TV Doctor Who a lot of the time doesn't bother with it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a irritation to me. Especially when they have American expat actors, like, for example, John Barrowman. Like, there's no reason why he couldn't say, hey, this doesn't sound anything like what an American would say. But
yeah. So
whatever.
I like Peri.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Peri.
I noticed in this story they really try to go out of their way to make her seem smart.
Yeah, they give her stuff to do,
which I thought was funny because, like, you know, in her backstory, like in the TV show, is that she's a botany student.
Yeah, and
it doesn't matter at all in the TV series. So I guess they try to work it into the audios the way they try and work in Adric's mathematics and things like that were never, you know, followed up on in the show. I think this one went a little bit too far because at some point she was starting to spout off about like things Romana would be saying and didn't really feel like Peri to me. But
Kate, Adric's mathematics were the most important. His star of excellency in mathematics was an integral part of his death.
I really was just hoping that star would have marked him for the Evans, but apparently not.
God damn it, Kate.
What?
Nothing. Anyway, but no, so far I like Peri. It's companions are fun. I'm glad I don't hate her.
She does have a bit of feistiness and a bit of mouthiness, but she's not as abrasive as Tegan could be.
Yeah, like it was nice to like a companion, right? Maybe I won't like her by the end, but it's nice to like someone right from the offset.
Well, I mean, that's good. I feel like Tegan being such a cunt was good because it gave her distinctiveness.
Yes, because she's awesome.
But I mean, Peri has some.
You had to warm up to Tegan, like you have to warm up to Mickey or Rory.
Yes, although in the most part, you know, unlike Mickey, Tegan isn't actively fucking sabotaging things. But,
yes,
you know, that was Adric's job.
Yes,
because Adric would have a temper tantrum and then ruin things on purpose. Or believe vampires and frogmen.
Join the vampires.
Because it's the easier way. Because I'm feeling lazy and my feet hurt, Doctor.
So you can tell that this story was super memorable because we're talking about Andrew. Next we'll be bringing up the Zarbi.
This was the first Fifth Doctor and Peri audio that they did. And they had done one with Peri before this with Sixie, but this was the first one with Davison. And because on TV she only had Planet of Fire, and then the next TV story is actually Peter Davison's last story, so she didn't get a lot of time on screen with him. And I think this whole run of Peri and Davison stories can be kind of contested continuity wise because, you know, come Caves of Androzani, it doesn't really seem like they've known each other for very long. There's nothing that says that they haven't traveled for a while, so it's kind of a, they can squeeze it in, and technically there's no contradiction, but some people kind of feel like it's a bit of a stretch. But we'll see.
Oh, don't say that, because I actually have a question about our next story.
Okay.
So let's move on to Eye of the Scorpion. Which,
all right.
By the way,
Rock.
Bad name.
Okay.
Just because, like a lot of Doctor Who names, I don't know what it has to do with this story. There is a scene with some scorpions, but there is one scene at the beginning with some scorpions, and then it's like never mentioned again.
You know, I hadn't thought about that. I think I might just be inoculated to retarded titles.
I know, but like I think this is probably our best story of the week.
Yes, this is most definitely. This is the only one I can. It's the only one I can honestly say that I liked it. It is good.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's a good story. How old is this one?
Okay. So just to put this in perspective, Red Dawn was monthly episode number 8, and this is number 24. So
is this our first instance of an audio-only companion for a non-McGann Doctor?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because, I mean, they were doing Colin Baker and Evelyn episodes before this.
Okay. Is that like one of his audio only companions?
Yes, who's awesome. Awesome, by the way. She's an old. We'll get to that later, but
so
she's great. But yeah,
okay,
you had Evelyn and you had Charlie before this.
Well, but I don't consider Charlie, like, Charlie doesn't count because Paul McGann had a TV movie, like.
And yes,
like giving him another companion makes sense. Like,
well, obviously, and I mean at the time,
giving a classic Doctor a new companion is an entirely different thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they had only, and I don't think Seven had any new companions. I think they just stuck him with Ace for. I mean, they'd done one with Benny, but I mean, it's a bit of a different story because Benny isn't from Audios originally, and she had her own show before.
Yeah,
Doctor Who. So I don't know. But yeah, definitely not the first original. Charlie and Evelyn, anyway, are definitely. And you can not count Charlie if you don't want to. I don't care.
No, I mean, no, I get, like, she is one, but
yes,
like, it's a different story for Paul McGann because.
Well, I mean, yeah, what else are you gonna do? Because as I was trying to say, like the I don't really want to call them companions, but the supporting cast from the Doctor Who movie, like they don't have the rights to those characters. They still don't have the rights to those characters, so they would have to.
No one likes that movie. It's supposed to be bad.
I think it's okay.
People like Paul McGann. I like Paul McGann.
I still think it's a decent movie.
We'll get there.
It's okay.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. And I haven't watched it because we started doing this show.
There's a lot of retarded things in that movie. But anyway, yes. So for anyone who is curious, for exact dates, Red Dawn came out in May of 2000, and Eye of the Scorpion is September of 2001.
Oh my god!
So there you go. What do you mean, oh my god?
Kate,
what?
What happened in September of 2001?
Yeah, I know, but I don't think that. What the fuck
I know. It's just a weird thing to think about.
Lots of things happened in September of 2001 besides that.
Yeah, but no one ever remembers that. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. So the TARDIS lands in ancient Egypt.
Outside of Thebes.
Outside of Thebes.
And there's a girl being pursued by hooligans on chariots, and the Doctor and Peri save her.
Yes.
And it turns out that she's called Eminem, and she is the Pharaoh.
And Peri keeps hitting a dude in the head with the clay pot.
Yeah.
Using that, my favorite, probably I think that's my favorite sound effect, is that
the pot breaking?
Yes, mostly because it's used as a joke in Wet Hot American Summer. And I love that sound effect because of that movie.
Yes.
Anyway.
So anyway, outside of Thebes, there's like this army of barbarians led by this guy who sounds like fucking Stromboli from Pinocchio.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. Not with the accent, but with the yelling all the time.
Well, yeah, but...
Now shut up before I knock you silly. Now. Anyway, he and his bitch boy are like thinking about, oh, well, we should invade Thebes, and the guy's like, no, we shouldn't, because there's aliens in my brain that tell me what to do. So instead, they've got the fucking Eminem doesn't want to be the Pharaoh, and she's like, Doctor and Peri, you're my friends, and everybody else is mean to me. And
also, you saved my life.
Yeah, so you should be bros. And we got to get to the bottom of this because she throws this banquet to thank them for not being callous assholes, which in ancient Egypt is a rarity.
Yes.
So anyway, there's like this banquet, and there's hookers, which I didn't think we'd ever say on Doctor Who, but yes, hookers. And and anyway, this guy tries to come up and kill Eminem, and the guards get to him first, but he's like, oh, we're trying to, like, Eminem is a usurper, and this is like for the true Pharaoh, and da-da-da. So there's this big investigation about
you missed the part where he cuts the Doctor, and it turns out
he cuts the Doctor like a bitch, and the Doctor gets poisoned temporarily, but he'll be fine because he's a Time Lord. But this poison's pretty good, so he's down for about an episode. And so yeah, they go into this mystery of like how he got in, because he like snuck in through the concubines area, and where the poison came from, and who this true pharaoh may or may not be.
Technically, the Doctor's not even down for a full episode. He's basically missing from the second episode. But then
because he runs off with his nurse.
Yeah, the cliffhanger at the end of the second episode is when they get back, the Doctor has disappeared.
Oh my god.
And
that's such a lame cliffhanger.
And I was like, this is a dumb cliffhanger to the next story. It's like, of course he healed quick and ran off. That's what the Doctor would do.
Yeah, I know, but like it's not even just that, the Doctor's in jeopardy. Dun dun dun. It's like, he's not here. He must have died.
It's the weakest part of the story too, because it's a classic Big Finish, like a bad Big Finish moment at this point. I
would say a bad Doctor Who moment. That's not just Big Finish. Like,
well, it's worse with Big Finish because it's a dumb episode cliffhanger in a medium where you immediately start the next
Maybe that's why they don't care as much.
You're not waiting a week.
You
don't have to structure it like this.
Although, to be fair, that's where you'd change discs if you had this on CD.
I guess, but still.
Yeah, I know, it's still really, really dumb.
It's really dumb.
But anyway, so it turns out that the nurse and the Doctor have ran off to infiltrate the barbarians' camp. And it turns out he's found a stasis box of a crashed prison ship of these thought beings that are controlling him because.
Well, they want to gather mind slaves and take over worlds.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, because
they have an alien plot.
Because they're aliens, they're bad. So anyway, but it also turns out that they have a spy in Thebes, which is like the high priest guy. And so they get into this big political argument with the High Council over who's actually the real pharaoh, because the High Council has decided, apparently it turns out that Eminem's dad, the real pharaoh, had another son that no one knew about, and it turns out, it's the nurse boy. And he doesn't want to be the pharaoh either. But anyway, so then there's a big kerfuffle. And then basically yelling guy, he gets barbarian. He gets impatient and decides to invade Thebes, so everyone runs away. Also, somewhere in there was some scorpions for like a minute. And so then they leave Thebes, and it turns out that Peri's got the mojo put on her. And so then they kind of just like annoy her to the point where the aliens leave her brain because they keep asking her too many questions. So it goes away.
Yeah. I liked the story a lot.
I did too. The plot is stupid, though.
The plot is...
It is kind of dumb, and it is... I mean, it's very much in the vein of the Doctor Who crashed alien that wants to get back into space / take over the world plot, so it enslaves people.
Yeah.
However, this story is really enjoyable in spite of that, where Red Dawn is not, because unlike Red Dawn, this story has character development. It has fun chemistry between Peri and Eminem. It's establishing a new companion dynamic. The Doctor gets to do a lot of speechifying and being forceful and proactive, and sometimes with Davison that doesn't always happen. And it's atmospheric. They've got a nice feel for the city and the tombs and all that. So just in terms of the sound design and the interactions of everybody, it's fun to listen to, in spite of plot elements that would otherwise be pretty flat.
Yeah, I agree with you like wholeheartedly. I liked it a lot. I liked Eminem. I'm excited to see her for a few more stories. Hopefully not just one.
Yes. Oh, and for anybody who's not familiar with the audios, her name is Aramem. I just call her Eminem because I'm an idiot.
I couldn't remember it either. I meant to remember
so.
it and then promptly did not.
Well, when I'm calling her Eminem constantly, it's hard to keep it straight. Anyway, so other than laughing at our own jokes, so Eminem is going to join us for the next few runs of audios as a companion, and she's pretty popular with the characters, and I think it's, I guess it's hard for you to say early, but for me, she is kind of in the vein of a Leela or a Jamie, somebody who is from the past or a primitive place and kind of has to learn about the wider world and you know, things like that. So, you know, it's a dynamic that works, I think, especially when you have another companion like Peri who is more modern, and they can kind of contrast with each other and
spark off each other. It's a bridge because Peri's learning too.
Yes.
It's nice. It's a good dynamic, and
it is a good dynamic, and I think the two of them bounce off each other actually really well.
And I thought that just the way that they've brought her on as a companion was really well done, because it's not like, oh, you're just going to travel with the doctor now. The doctor's like, well, we'll find you a teacher.
We'll find you somewhere. Yeah, because he didn't really want to take her away first, but I mean, he did say, you know, early on in the story, it's like, I know all the pharaohs, and there's no pharaoh Eminem, so like, what's going to happen to you? And so, you know, with most historicals, you're setting it up that she's going to sacrifice herself and die or something.
Yeah.
So it was nice to kind of, I don't know, do something else. And I mean, and she has a fun character that can be used in a way other than just dying.
Yes.
You know, like they tried to do something similar with Katarina, I think, and then did like the fastest 180 the show's ever done. Ditched her at an airlock, but you know, this is Big Finish, I think, BBC.
But
and if there's one thing Big Finish does, it's never letting anything go. Big Finish is like the Indians; they use all parts of the continuity.
But this was a great story. It was a really nice way to end this week's audios too.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, it was a relief for me. It was like a little treat at the end for taking my medicine of the 3 previous episodes.
Come on.
I'm only exaggerating a little bit, but the thing is like when you have one kind of run-of-the-mill story, it's whatever. But when you have to listen to 3 of them in a row, it really sucks your enthusiasm, especially when you're on a long break. You know, because it's like do Rulebook and then Red Dawn back to back. It just kind of made me go, ugh.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a break, so. But yeah, so what's on the docket for next time?
Well, next time we're going to continue with Fourth Doctor Adventures with the Bad Penny. That one was written by Dan Starkey, who may be known better to TV viewers as Strax.
I have listened to this one already, but I need to re-listen to it.
Oh, what did you do that for?
I thought we were doing 2, which remember when I asked you?
Oh.
It was because I had done 2.
Oh, well, whatever.
But then as soon as I finished it, I was like, I need to re-listen to that. I did not pay enough attention to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one thing with the audios is you actually have to pay attention. Otherwise, it goes right by you.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so for the 5th Doctor, Peri, and now Eminem, we will have another trio of audios. We have The Church and the Crown. We have No Place Like Home, which is one of those Doctor Who magazine bonuses, so don't get your hopes up. Okay. And we have possibly the most hated Big Finish episode ever in Necromantia. So, look forward to that.
What? Can you say that one more time?
Necromantia.
Like, that's too close to the German horror comedy, Necromantic, for comfort. Like,
sure. It's going to be a treat.
Is it about having sex with corpses?
I wish it was that. That would be interesting.
I'm glad that's a bad sign if that's interesting.
Well, it's okay. It's more interesting.
No, well, that's actually really exciting, Kate.
Oh, is it? Why?
Because if this is the worst, this is considered the worst. You don't want to listen to the thing that's considered the worst Big Finish story? I do.
Well, I mean, I'm having flashbacks to like The Boy That Time Forgot and Minuet in Hell, and I'm like, please don't do this to me again.
Minuet in Hell was not that bad.
It's atrocious. You talk to me about American accent. Yeah, because the United States is going to add a new state called fucking Malabulgia. Like,
yeah,
are you kidding me?
It was
Jesus
fun bad. Like The Boy the Time for like there are much
Adric
worse
the fucking Scorpion King.
Yes, there are much worse Big Finish stories.
Oh, they should have brought Adric the Scorpion King back for this one. He should have been the bad guy.
This is really I'm really excited now. I want to know how bad this is.
Well, you'll find out whenever we do our next episode.
Hopefully a week.
Fuck.
Okay then.
No, sorry. I was like, no, never mind. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Let's end the podcast because we're done. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. All right.